Hello and welcome to Knights of the Game Table. We're at Pat's Games here in Austin, Texas. I'm Kevin.
I'm Aryeh.
And tonight we're going to be taking you through drafting Boros cards in Guilds of Ravnica, pick or pass.
To keep up to date with everything at Knights of the Game Table, all you have to do is click subscribe and then hit that tiny little notification button next to it, so every time we upload a new video, YouTube will be sure to let you know.
Aryeh, let's start out at the top end. Eola, Exemplar of Justice.
The easiest pick in the whole set.
She is crazy.
Yeah, this card is very, very good. I think the fact that it costs only 4 mana, to me, they're trying to shade it towards constructed, and you've seen actually that red-white angels, potentially a constructed deck in standard. That card is just very, very good. Does something when it comes into play, does something every single turn.
Interacts with Mentor.
Gigantic has Mentor, has a gigantic, you know,
4/5
flying
fly, yeah.
5 toughness, which is very difficult to deal with in the format.
Just take her. Just
draft it, yeah.
All right. And then the other mythic, Chance for Glory.
Yeah, this is one of those cards that I always kind of am questioning, which is what it says lose the game on the card. I tend to not like to play with cards that say lose the game on the card.
Yeah, this has been a mechanic way back since Mirage, I think, and it's never been that good, right?
Yeah, there was, this is a callback to a very, very old card that was like 2 red that was take an extra turn, lose the game.
Final Fortune, I
Final
think?
Fortune, yeah. And so this card is you know, similar to that, probably not playable in limited.
Alrighty. Well, on to the rares now. Response Resurgence.
This card I like a lot. The sort of 5 damage, it is a split card, so 1/2 is 5 damage to an attacking or blocking creature, and the other half is you get another combat step, which is kind of cool. I like this card a lot because, like, obviously you want to get the extra combat step. That's the flashy part. That's the part that wins the game a lot of the time. But the fact that it doubles as, you know, a pretty efficient removal spell makes this a pretty easy first pick card to me.
It's good whether you're on the offense or whether you need to shore it up.
It's great that one of your like 5-drop finishers is also a removal spell on turn 2. Like, that's pretty cool.
Alrighty. Tajik, Legion's Edge.
Oh, I love this card. This is a pick. This card is a pick. I mean, you know, one of the things about the mentor mechanic is that your creatures have to have a larger power than others, and there are a lot of 2-power mentor creatures, like a ton. What's nice about Tajik is that he's actually a 3-power mentor that can now, okay, now the 3/2 mentors your 2/2, your 2/2 mentors your 1/1, and you sort of get this, you know, ball rolling of every single creature you control is mentoring something else, and he fits that slot nicely. Also, haste is just a great ability for Boros in this set.
Solid pick.
Oh yeah, definitely a pick for Tajik.
Deafening Clarion.
So Deafening Clarion, I'm actually going to say pass. I'm going to say pass on Deafening Clarion.
Not good enough?
Yeah, this card, unfortunately in Boros, it just kind of kills all your own creatures. So, the thing is, I have drafted the Clarion several times, and I usually put it in my deck, and I figure, okay, well, if I don't get to deal 3, like, I can use the lifelink side of it, because it's either deal 3 or lifelink or both. But what ends up happening a lot of the time is I play with it for a round, and actually, on Magic Online, they let you change your deck between rounds, and I've taken it out after the first round.
Wow.
Every time. I think if you're in a 4-color control deck or a 3-color control deck, I think this definitely has a place for you. But if you're just drafting a Boros deck with Mentor mechanic, I'm passing Deafening Clarion.
Wow. Swiftblade Vindicator.
This would also be a pass. Swiftblade Vindicator is a card I've tried to make it work. I had a draft deck with 2 of them, and I thought it was going to be awesome. But it turns out that when you draw them on turn 6 or 7, they're very, very not awesome. And even on turn 2, they're like smaller than most of your opponent's creatures. And so you have to like play it on 2. They attack you, you don't block because you can't. Yeah. Then you try to follow up with a mentor creature and then like maybe later attack and put a counter. The card is just very slow. And Boros in this set is not known for being slow.
Alrighty. Sacred Foundry.
I love Sacred Foundry. I love dual lands, but if we're talking about draft, I do think that you can definitely first pick or second pick Shocklands out of some packs if they're weak packs. Because if you're thinking about building a 3 or 4 color deck, these are better than Gates most of the time. But I think that if you have a Sacred Foundry in draft, even against just like a removal spell, I think you're usually just going to take the removal spell.
Alrighty. On to uncommons now with Swathe Cutter Giant.
Yeah, Swift Gator Giant is a card that I am actually going to say pass. The problem is that Boros doesn't really like to get up to 6 mana. A lot of the Boros decks, the good ones, you play 16 lands. Sometimes you can play 15 lands. They're very low curve decks. This card doesn't really fit in. Again, this is similar to like the Clarion, the 3 damage card. The Giant, I think, is a good finisher in a multicolored gate-heavy deck. I mean, if you're playing 3 or 4 colors, this card's great at the top of your curve. In a straight Boros deck, it's a pass. Either way, you're not picking it first, second, or third.
True Fire Captain.
Oh, this is a pick. I am definitely first picking this card out of a ton of packs. It is tough on the mana. It's a first pick, a double red, double white card. But this card just does everything Boros wants. First of all, it's a mentor with 4 power, which is something we've talked about is very important to get those mentors with higher power to mentor the 2/2s. And second of all, it punishes your opponent for blocking or dealing damage, which punishing your opponent for blocking is exactly where Boros wants to be.
Nice. Legion Guildmage.
So Legion Guildmage is an interesting one, right? Because it's a tapper. Tapper's historically great in limited. Tappers also, though, historically don't cost 3 mana to activate in limited. So Legion Guildmage is a tough one. I think the card is good. I think that there are a lot of other 2-drops and other things I'm looking to take early. I'm actually going to say pass on Legion Guildmage and say that in some packs I would take it, but it's hardly like a slam pick like the True Fire Captain we talked about.
Alrighty. Boros Challenger.
Oh, this is the 2-drop that interests me, in fact.
Okay.
Yes. Boros Challenger is, I think it might be the best non-rare creature in the set. Might be Boros Challenger. The card is it just takes over the game. 3 toughness on turn 2 is just extremely difficult for anyone trying to block it, for anyone trying to attack into it. The fact that it has an expensive pump ability, but it's still a mana sink in the late game. It has Mentor, which is what we want on our Boros cards.
And a Mentor that can get above 3 power.
And it can get to that 3 to 4 power we talked about absolutely in the late game, which is important. Boros Challenger is a slam dunk pick. Easily one of the best non-rare cards in the entire set.
Justice Strike.
Justice Strike is good. It has sort of this, a creature deals damage to itself equal to its power. It's a cool ability, but there are a lot of creatures in this set that have higher toughness than power. So you do get into situations with Justice Strike, where especially against Dimir, where it doesn't actually kill any of their creatures. They have a 4/5 and a 3/4, and you're staring at Justice Strike like this doesn't even do anything. At the same time, removal in limited is always pretty good. 2 mana removal's solid. You will take it first or second in a lot of packs.
Alrighty. Integrity Intervention.
So Integrity Intervention answers the question of how much do they think Lightning Helix should cost? And the answer is twice as much. Where it's a 4 mana Lightning Helix, deal 3, gain 3, with the flip side of it being a +2/+2. This card, I think, is a strong pick. Is it first pickable, second pickable over good creatures and better removal? Probably not. Do you want it in your Boros deck? I think so. I would look for this one mid-pack, somewhere between picks 4 and 8.
Alrighty. We're on to commons now with the Garrison Sargent.
Garrison Sargent is an interesting one because it counts the gates that are in your deck, which makes its value highly variable in different decks and different drafts. There are some draft decks where if you're in pack 3 and you have a bunch of gates, this card is just going to be a 3/3 double strike all the time, which is basically like having a 6/6, give or take. There's other draft decks like an aggressive Boros 2-color deck that doesn't even play more than 1 or 2 gates, where this card is going to be completely unplayable. So Garrison Sargent is, I'm going to call it a pass, but I'm going to say there are some decks when you pick them up late, you're going to play them.
Alrighty. Hammer Dropper.
Well, I think I'm gonna drop some knowledge on you here. This card is actually very good. It is a 4 mana 5/2, which historically in limited have been not very good at all. A lot of them have been unplayable. In this particular set, this card is quite good. Reason being, 5 power means you're mentoring everything. You're mentoring any other creature you have. And second of all, Boros loves to play pump spells in this format. +2/+2s are most of them. Or there's a +3/+0 Sure Strike with First Strike. And this card is just absolutely brutal when pumped up with a pump spell. Is your opponent tries to put a 2/2 on it, has to block the other mentored creature, and then you just blow them out with a pump spell and do it all over again the next turn.
Nice. Sky Knight Legionnaire.
An oldie but a goodie, right?
Yeah.
So Sky Knight Legionnaire has been in every single Ravnica set. This is its 3rd time showing up in Ravnica. And Sky Knight Legionnaire is as good as it's ever been. I mean, it's a 3-power, it's a 3-cost, 2-power haste creature. Already solid, it flies, you know, does everything you want. Is it a slam dunk first pick? Not necessarily. Do you want multiples in your Boros deck? Absolutely.
Alrighty. The Boros Locket.
Boros Locket is the worst of all Lockets because it is in the color combination that does not really care about ramping mana or drawing cards. So Boros Locket is actually pretty close to being an unplayable card for almost anyone.
Wow.
Because the 4-color decks are going to want to fix blue or green mana. The Boros decks just generally aren't interested in this effect. So Boros Locket, we're going to call it a pass.
The Fresh-Faced Recruit.
Fresh-Faced Recruit is a pick. This card's great. It's a nice card to take early in a draft because it'll fit into either Boros or Selesnya quite well. Because it has a hybrid mana cost, you can pay red or white. So you can take it if you think you're in Boros, and it's going to be an excellent card for you in Selesnya. So I definitely think it's a pick. It is one of the better 2-drops in the format, and yeah, I'm taking Fresh-Faced Recruit early.
Alrighty. Boros Gill Gate.
So Boros Gill Gate suffers from a lot of the same problems as Boros Locket, which is it is the Gill Gate that's most likely to go into a 2-color deck that doesn't want Gill Gates.
Pass for you?
I'm passing it, yeah.
Alrighty. That wraps up the Boros cards. Thank you for joining us for Pick or Pass here on Knights at the Game Table. Aryeh, pleasure as ever.
I enjoyed it.
If you've enjoyed this video, please feel free to subscribe to our channel down below, and we will catch you next time on Knights at the Game Table.